Previously we clarified how electricity is cleaner than fossil fuels, and how it can release deadly power resulting in serious damage or loss of life when by faulty contact with conducting material, machines, equipment or human being. The four main hazards we identified were electric shock, electric burns, electrical fires, electric arcing. Control measure. Although electricity is deadly, it can be controlled through by proper precautions, so similar to other types of workplace hazards and risks, national and international laws and regulations require employer to set out adequate control measures for electrical hazards and risks to prevent fatal and not fatal injuries. Generally, safety rules and precautions circle around the proper design, installation and maintenance of electrical systems, safe work activities and protective equipment, the strength and capability of electrical equipment. Means of protection against hazardous environments, the suitability of electrical connections, means for protection from excess current. Precautions for working on dead or live conductors, workspace safe environment and workforce competency requirements. Administrative roles. Whether having manager or supervisor responsibilities, your major duty is to ensure safe work without health risks, and all workers follow the safety rules, and control measures are identified in risk assessments. Managers shall set out system of safety rules and procedures through brief policy statement for securing the isolation, working dead or alive and simple safe work instructions, ensure competency of electrical works contractors, ensure awareness of task-specific risk assessments. Provide safety rules that clearly identify workers' limitations and fully detailed procedures for safe working. Periodically review policies, rules, instructions, procedures of the work, ensuring competency of team workers through training programs and keep communication channels open to workers to report any change of work system. Meanwhile, supervisors shall participate in planning the electrical work and risk assessment process. Coordinate ongoing electrical works, especially where many groups involved. Discuss safety electrical precautions and emergency procedures with workers. Clearly define the roles and responsibilities of team leaders regarding electrical works. Coordinate work with electric works subcontractors. Assign tasks to competent electricians. Supervise how work is going safely and instruct newcomer and young workers. Safety precautions of electrical activities. Safety precautions of electrical activities. Electrical engineers could design several different types of protective system and technique that reduces risks of electrical system in case of failure, and guarantee protection of workers, plant and premises from electrical hazards during operation. Fuse. A thin strip of conducting wire which will melt when an excess of the rated current passes through it. It breaks the circuit, thus providing protection against faults and current overloads. However, protection is limited to equipment and installations only from overheating and fire, so it not at all effective with electric shock due to the time that it takes to cut the current flow. Isolation. Making the circuit dead by switching off the current, thus cannot be accidentally re-energized. It is marked as stopper between the equipment and the electrical power supply, which only an authorized person should be able to remove. Usually required to ensure safety during the work process and must be locked and unlocked by authorized person who checks the electric system before disconnect and reconnect to power supply. Reduced low voltage systems. In severe working conditions or high intense usage of equipment, reduced voltage systems should be used. So even in worst-case scenario the worker will suffer a reduced electric shock, thus reduce the severe outcome. Also, battery-operated hand tools is preferable to be utilized as a low-voltage equipment. Insulation. Insulation material covers the live conductor, often accompanied by the enclosure to prevent reaching out by people. It has more advantage than fuse by providing people with protection against electric shock, in addition to protection of all consequences of short circuit. But if failed, electric shock, fire, explosion or instrument damage may occur. Double insulation. Consist of two independent layers of insulation over the live conductors for double protection, although a one layer in separate is suitable and fair to insulate the electrical equipment safely. If accidentally a live part becomes exposed, it's still able to prevent internal fault condition from making any outer part live. That's why it is used in hand and non-hand held portable appliances. Residual current devices. It is the best form of protection against electric shock since it is very sensitive to differences of flowing current. It automatically cut the supply to the equipment between the live and neutral power lines even with few milliamperes difference occurs in a very short period of time. Major advice is to apply safety use of electrical energy. Properly designed, installed and maintained electrical equipment and system to meets requirements of its purpose safely. The better design, the lower proportion of risk of electric shock, burns, fire or explosion, protect cables and equipment against mechanical damage. Ensure effectiveness of insulation especially in damp weather. Prime assessing of workplace before approaching any electrical source. As much as possible avoid live working particularly during fault finding and provide safe workspace, access and lighting to work safely. All electrical works shall be carried out by competent persons. Regarding adverse weather conditions like flammable and explosive environment, ensure suitability of used equipment. Also, used equipment shall be certified explosion-protected equipment. Further safe precautions of protective systems like lock-out tag-out all switch disconnectors in off position. Properly design electrical system enabling isolation of circuits and equipment, suitably locate and arrange switch disconnectors. Clearly marked device used for isolating circuits and use drawings and records to identify relationship between equipment and their control switches.